French media has found the presence of their country's ambassador at the inauguration of Russian President Vladimir Putin to be remarkable and noteworthy, emphasizing the significance of this diplomatic event. In my opinion, I also believe that the French ambassador should not have been in attendance at this ceremony. There are multiple reasons for this. The initial reason is that the presidential elections in Russia themselves can scarcely be regarded as a genuine vote. Vladimir Putin essentially and practically ignored the established norms of electoral law in a blatant disregard for legal standards. The presidential elections in Russia occurred in the occupied territories of Ukraine. Virtually all authentic adversaries of Vladimir Putin were denied the opportunity to participate in this vote, as they were not allowed to take part. Alexei Navalny, who was seen as one of the key critics of Vladimir Putin, tragically lost his life in prison on the eve of the elections, which he had been actively involved in. The second reason that clearly should have dissuaded the French ambassador from attending this inauguration is the absence of representatives from major Western countries, which should have been a significant factor to consider. The ambassador of France was the only diplomatic representative from the group of 7 nations in attendance. The remaining states opted not to attend the inauguration ceremony of Vladimir Putin, abstaining from participation in the event. The third reason is that France is among the European Union countries that maintain traditionally neutral or good relations with the Russian Federation, which is a characteristic of France's relationship with Russia and contributes to its diplomatic position within the EU. Clearly, it is evident that France does not belong among such states in any way, shape, or form. The fourth reason that is worth mentioning is the problem that is related to Vladimir Putin's almost imperial behavior at this ceremony, which has raised concerns among many observers and has sparked debates about the appropriate conduct for a leader in such a setting. The French ambassador was not involved in the inauguration ceremony of the President of the Republic as a participant. He was present at a ceremony that had a monarchic theme, reflecting the regal nature of the occasion he was witnessing firsthand. And this clearly does not reflect the respect for democracy, which has been a long-standing priority for politicians in France for many years and has consistently remained at the forefront of their agenda. Another reason why the French ambassador should have been absent at the inauguration ceremony of Vladimir Putin is the disrespect shown towards France on the eve of this ceremony. As it is widely known, the French ambassador was summoned to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Russia, where he encountered serious threats directed at his country. Clearly, following this event, the French ambassador had the option to remain at home instead of attending, and ultimately the reason for these threats. Yet another circumstance that should have prompted French President Emmanuel Macron to advise his ambassador to refrain from participating in the ceremony, considering the potential risks involved. This is the aspect that Russia did not appreciate. The concept of the potential presence of French military forces on Ukrainian territory was something they strongly opposed and found unfavorable. And here arises an actual confusion. On one hand, the President of France is the solitary leader of the country from the group of 7 nations, which consists of the world's most advanced economies, which suggests the potential presence of French armed forces on the territory of Ukraine, indicating the existence of military personnel from France in the region, and even establishes the boundaries that could potentially regulate and control the adoption of such a significant decision, ensuring proper oversight and accountability in the process. For instance, this is a significant advancement made by Russian soldiers on the front line, or a genuine and extremely serious threat that poses a significant danger to the existence and stability of Ukrainian statehood. On the contrary, the French ambassador's attendance at the inauguration ceremony of the President of Russia underscores the strong diplomatic ties between France and Russia. And naturally, in both France and the Western countries, the question arises not only for the French ambassador, but also for the President of France, who holds the highest office in the country. What is the actual and authentic political course that Emmanuel Macron adheres to in his capacity as a politician and leader of France? Is he truly prepared to lead the troops of France into the territory of Ukraine at this particular point in time? Or is he depending on the resumption of political dialogue with Vladimir Putin in order to find a solution to the situation at hand? We have a recollection that in the past, this political dialogue did not lead to any obvious or tangible results. Emmanuel Macron tried to persuade the Russian president not to make a grave political mistake and not to start a war with Ukraine. However, his calls, similar to those of other leaders from Western nations, went unnoticed and unheard. Vladimir Putin once again demonstrated his disregard for any warnings when it comes to his aggressive intentions, proving that he remains unswayed by cautionary advice. Drawing a relatively straightforward conclusion is imperative based on the given information at hand. The President of Russia regards any concessions as a manifestation of weakness on the part of the Russian Federation. The presence of the ambassador of the French Republic in the Kremlin is exactly how it is interpreted by the political leadership of Russia. The ambassador was called to the Russian Ministry of Foreign Affairs, where he listened to severe threats, and subsequently a determination was reached to conduct oneself with greater caution. The fact that the head of the diplomatic mission of the French Republic is present in Moscow during the inauguration ceremony of the Russian president serves as a demonstration of such cautious behavior on the part of the French government. The President of France does not need to reiterate the mistakes that have already been made in the process of building relations with the Russian Federation to understand that any conversation with Moscow from a standpoint of seeking compromise can only result in the failure of all diplomatic endeavors and in the enhancement of the aggressive aspirations of the Russian leadership. It is crucial to recognize the detrimental consequences of such an approach. When forming relationships with China, it is imperative to avoid making the same mistake. By the way, this should be kept in mind and not disregarded. The president, who recently visited Paris, perceives the surrounding world in the same manner as his Russian counterpart and interprets any request for concessions solely as an indication of weakness in the Western world, without considering any other factors or motivations that may be involved. Thank you. Stay on this channel, subscribe to it, share it, use the sponsorship features. Good luck.